Hello, in this video I'm going to show you the steps on how to create a sheet in Google Sheets for students to do self-assessment, and this will create a table with a bar graph that goes across that it's easy to see at a glance how students have assessed themselves. So to start off with, I'm in a blank sheet and I have got some material already for a heading for the sheet. So I've entered that, and then below that I'm going to start the table. Now I have a table here. I'm going to copy just the first column, and this is going to be a classroom self-check-in, just to use as an example. And so for the column heading, let's see, did I copy that? Yes, I did. Okay, so I'm going to paste that in here. And it's really skinny and doesn't look very good. And one thing you could do is adjust the column width, but since I already have my heading up above, that would mess up some of that. So instead, for each one of these cells, I'm just going to merge 3 cells together. And I'll just work down through the table and merge all of these. So I've got the first column the way I like it. Then the remaining columns, I need to put column headings in there for the various levels of competence or confidence or skill level or whatever it is. And looking back at the sample I'm working with, I see I feel confident, I feel good, I feel meh, I need serious help. And these are in high to low order, but for our table we need them in a low to high order. So I need serious help, followed by I feel meh, then I feel good and I feel confident. Okay, so I've got those headings. I could pretty them up at this point, make them bold. That looks fine. I probably want to make them a little bit more narrow. So I'm just doing cosmetic changes right now. And I need to wrap them all, so let me do that so I can see what it really will look like. Okay, I'm going to center them horizontally and center them vertically. I'm going to make this one centered both ways as well. Okay. Now the end result is going to be a horizontal bar graph that if a particular student feels meh, they will indicate it and you'll see a bar graph go across. So a lot of the next steps are going to be creating that, and we're going to use colors. So I'm going to set colors for these various levels, and so I'm just going to set some fill colors for these level headings in the table right now. And so I've got a yellowish for that. Meh, I'm going to go with this green. I feel good. It's going to be that blue, and then I feel confident. I might get this little purple color here. So those are going to be my colors. I also want to do some more cosmetic stuff. I'm going to do borders for this. So let's see, a little thicker, and then do all the borders that way. Okay. Now for each of these cells under the level headings, I'm going to insert a checkbox. So I've highlighted all of them, go insert, and then choose checkbox. And then the student will end up checking a box for whichever one that applies. And at the time they check it, they'll get a little colored bar graph that goes across. But we haven't created that yet. So we need to do that next. I see I've got an extra row here. Oops. So I'm going to get rid of this row first. There we go. And while I'm at it, I'm going to get rid of all the columns I don't need, just to make it look a lot more attractive. And same thing for rows. Get rid of all the rows that I don't need. Okay, so that's the entire table. Now to set up the highlighting that will create the bar graph, that's called conditional highlighting. And I'm going to start in this top right cell under I Feel Confident and go to the Format menu and choose Conditional Formatting. It brings up your Conditional Format Rules sidebar. And the first thing we need to do is select what range this is going to apply for. And so the one we're working on, when a student clicks I feel confident, they click that checkbox, it will create a bar graph that goes from the description itself all the way across to that checkbox. And so I'm going to click on the little icon that says select data range, and this is going to apply. This is telling where do you want the highlight to appear when whatever condition we're going to set gets satisfied. And I want it to go all the way across, like that. But this applies for the whole table, so I'm going to highlight the entire table. Click OK, and then under Format Rules, Format Cells, if some condition is satisfied, clicking there and then scrolling all the way to the bottom for Custom Formula Is, then I need to put my custom formula. And the thing about checkboxes is it creates a condition in that cell of either true or false. And so in Excel formula speak, if you just say the name of the cell, that is equivalent to saying, is the cell true? And so that's the condition we want the bar to apply in. And so I'm going to put equals, followed by a $sign, and then the cell reference for that original cell that I selected, which was G7. And then I'm going to select the fill color, which is going to be that purpley color, and then click Done. Okay, so now I'm going to test it and see if it really works. So if I click this checkbox, it goes all the way across. Great. If I do a different one, that works too. But if I select a different checkbox, nothing happens because we haven't defined it yet. So having completed the top right cell, now we're going to move to the left one cell and do the same thing. In the sidebar, click Add Another Rule, select the range, and this time the range does not go all the way to the right. It stops under the I Feel Good column. Click OK. Do the same thing with the formula part, custom formula, equals $sign, and then this time it's a cell reference for the I Feel Good cell, which is F7. Select color that matches the heading, and then click Done. Now we do the same thing for the green, I Feel Meh. Select that cell, click Add Another Cell, or formula, sorry, Add Another Rule, select the range, stopping just under I Feel Meh all the way to the bottom. Put in the custom formula, equals $sign E7, select the fill color, done. The last one, I need serious help. Add another rule, select the range, just the first two columns this time. And I'm not selecting the column headings in any of these, just the data under the column headings. Custom formula equals $sign D7. Select the fill color. And now I'm done. Now if I select these cells individually and just run across, and you're watching the right sidebar, you can see that they don't all have all the rules because they don't all need them. So let's see, I feel meh on this on row 10. Does that work? Yes. How about I feel good on the next row? Cool. And so everything works in the whole table. So the idea of this classroom self-check-in is to do this before every unit. And so the heading that I created at the very top says Unit 1, Introduction to Google Sheets, just as an example. The way I've envisioned the organization of this is each student will have one Google Sheet that they use, and each tab in the sheet will be a separate unit. So I'm going to label this first one Unit 1, and then I'm going to duplicate it, call it Unit 2, and up here, Unit 2, Introduction to Google Docs. And I failed to mention, but this is where, back on the first sheet, this is where the student will enter their name. So I'm going to blank it out for now just to get it set for a real student. But on sheet 2, it's still got it in there. I don't want that. I don't want the student to have to enter their name more than once. So on Unit 1, it's blank. On Unit 2, it's blank. But Unit 2, I'm going to put a formula in to point to that cell on Unit 1. Formulas start with an equal sign, and then I click on the tab for Unit 1. I can't select the cell because the entry box is over it, but I can select the one next to it, and then on the keyboard arrow over to the right to get on the one I'm looking for. And then hit enter, and nothing happened. But wait, let's go to the first tab and put that student's name in. We'll just type it in. And Unit 2 has that name. So you need to do this on the second tab before you create any tabs for the additional units, so that you can duplicate this one and have that formula already set up for Unit 3, etc. So Unit 3, let's say that's a Introduction to Google Slides. And so each of these does the little bar graphy thing on their own. And so this is a way that students can do self-assessment, in this case in a hypothetical classroom self-check-in before each unit. I hope this has been helpful and that you can create these kinds of check-in or self-assessment sheets in the future. Thank you.